Okay.
We're back. I'm Adee and this is
Dani.
And this week we're going to do another episode of how to make eating out at restaurants a lot easier so you can stay on top of your goals. And last time we did a Mexican restaurant. This time I let Dani choose.
Yes, Italian food is my favorite and I find it the easiest to track. So I choose Italian restaurants for lunch today. Let's go get some.
We're gonna hear from the expert herself, going to pick up some food and bring it back here and give you all the best tips.
Okay, I will explain why Italian food, I believe, is the easiest to track. Not unlike the Mexican food.
Turn left onto Barton Creek Boulevard.
It's a lot of single source macros, which is a term we use for when like an ingredient has just carbs or just fat or just protein. So I find that like obviously pizza base, pasta sheets, they're pretty much all carbs, right? And then there's cheeses and oils and they're all fat. And then marinara sauces, just carbs, and it's also like fibrous, it's a vegetable. The cream sauces are pretty much pure fat. I find it really easy to dissect in that way. That's my opinion. And then their vegetables are typically vegetables covered in oil. When things are serious, like we have a competition coming up, you know, estimating is a little riskier than usual during those times. So I've called and been like, is your red sauce, have you got a lot of olive oil in it? And they'll just be straight with me.
Whenever I feel uncomfortable about asking for things, I try to remember, like, we work in the service industry, and if one of our clients called us and asked for something specific, I would just try and do everything I could to accommodate this person and make it the best experience possible. We are at Mandola's, an Italian restaurant. We've never been here before.
We haven't, but we're gonna grab some to go, and we're gonna show you how to track it, whether you are dining in or eating out. In case we were important and
Oh my God, it's Italian food. How does it smell? It smells amazing. We have our food from our Italian restaurant set up as if we were sitting in a restaurant and ordering from a waitress. But we will walk you through exactly why we ordered what we did and the way that we did, along with some other options of things that you can ask for or strategies you can use when you're actually at the restaurant. We want to start with the chicken and why we ordered the chicken this way.
So to make exactly a dish that's easy for us to track and fit our nutrition for today, we noticed that there's a bunch of items on the menu that have grilled chicken in them, and there was a bunch of items that had grilled vegetables, but they were all covered in like sauces and oils. So we asked if we could just take the chicken from, you know, these dishes and the vegetables from the other dishes, go light on the oil and put it in a box for us, and they did a really great job. So that was really easy.
Yeah, it makes it really easy when you see certain options that you want on certain dishes, and you can mix and match in most restaurants. So if you see, you know, maybe you have this chicken dish, but it's covered in a fettuccine sauce, and instead of having it with that type of, or an Alfredo sauce, sorry, instead of having it with an Alfredo sauce, which is a cream sauce, you can maybe ask them for the marinara sauce instead, which is going to have less fat and sometimes even less carbs, depending on if they use sugar or not in the marinara. So really, this meal is all about just mixing and matching and knowing that you can mix certain aspects of some meals with aspects of others. This bread over here is typical for what you're gonna find when you go to an Italian restaurant, kind of like when you go to the chips and salsa at the Mexican restaurant. It's gonna be waiting for you on the table. It's there for you to nibble on while you're waiting to order your food, and that is the prime opportunity to overeat or not even notice how much you're eating. So what we would suggest is either take one piece, and that one piece is gonna be your whole serving for the meal, or just completely get the server to just take the bread off the table altogether.
Yeah, especially if you're hungry and you're waiting for your food, it makes the temptation way worse.
You think you're gonna have enough willpower not to have the bread, but you see it out of the corner of your eye and you're like thinking about it, and it just, over time, it makes it less and less and less likely that you're gonna avoid eating it. So the quickest way is just to not have it as an option if it's not on the table.
Yeah, like I'm thinking about it right now.
Exactly, it's sitting right in front of us. All I wanna do is eat that bread right now. Dani's gonna tell us a little bit about pizza and why we ordered the pizza this way.
Okay, one of the reasons that we love the Italian restaurant we went to is because they do wood-fired pizza. which is typically more traditional, which means less cheesy toppings, slightly less oily, carby bases. So this is like a traditional thin crust, which is usually the best kind of low calorie thin crust you can get. And all they've put is mozzarella on, which is like a skimmed cheese, which is lower in fat and higher in protein than like cheddar or whatever other kind of non-traditional cheeses that they put on there. So low in cheese, tomato base, which is like a more of a vegetable base, higher fiber, lower carb, and the best possible option for the base.
And one thing that you might want to pay attention to that you don't always notice, but after the pizza's cooked at an Italian restaurant, sometimes they will just drizzle some olive oil on top just to do that like extra. Sometimes it's even just for garnish and just for the pizza to look really appetizing. But if you think about it, when you drizzle an olive oil over an entire pizza, that could be sometimes more than an entire tablespoon. And that's a lot.
Like it could be like that.
Just drizzled on top. So just making sure they don't drizzle any olive oil on top is sometimes a great option, unless you're really looking forward to that extra olive oil on top. But it's just something to consider that they might be putting that on top. Next we have our salad on the side. I think this is pretty typical for literally any restaurant that you go to, getting the dressing on the side. So this is our dressing, it's on the side, and getting that on the side gives us the option to control how much of your dressing you're going to put in. So I think we can even test it right now. Let's see how many grams is going to be in that. So let's just pour it. So we pour this all on top, and that is 30 grams. So that's almost just over an ounce. Yeah. Just over an ounce, but it's 2 tablespoons of salad dressing, and that could be anywhere from like 6 grams of fat to 20 grams of fat. So depending on what you've got for the day, maybe you only want to have half of that, or maybe you just, for me sometimes, I like to just dip my fork in a little bit of dressing and then use that for every bite, and it usually ends up being, I don't know, a teaspoon of salad dressing, and just to get a little bit of taste. You got any other salad dressing options if you didn't want to use dressing at all?
If you don't want to use dressing, just straight balsamic vinegar, which is typically what they use to create their dressing. So that's 0 calorie, or just a squeeze of lemon juice is usually pretty good.
I love lemon juice. Yeah. Lemon juice is such a good option. Lemon juice and salt and pepper, so good. I like that. And then finally, our last thing is the side of angel hair pasta that we have. And that is, what we got was just angel hair pasta with a little bit of marinara sauce on it. What we wanted to show here is that there's a bunch of different options for what types of sauces you can get on top of the pasta. There is your typical Alfredo sauce or your cream sauce. There's going to be your straight red tomato sauce, and kind of like what we talked about in the car, you want to maybe call ahead and ask if they're using a lot of olive oil in their marinara sauce or sugar, which is definitely going to increase the carb count. But generally, if they aren't using a bunch of olive oil and they're not using any sugar, marinara sauce is going to be the best low-calorie solution. If you really are going for it, a cream sauce is obviously delicious, but much heavier. And then for people that want an in-between, there's something called a rosé sauce, which allows you to do half marinara, half cream. It's like a pink sauce, what they would call at some restaurants. So you really do have a bunch of options. If your pasta dish, the one that you love on the menu is this chicken Alfredo with a bunch of these vegetables, but you just don't want the Alfredo sauce, don't be afraid to ask for that with marinara sauce instead.
Okay, and one hack that I bet like none of you have ever thought to do before.
Okay, I want to hear one I've never done.
Okay, I'll order just dry pasta, and I'll get a side of olive oil and a side of lemon juice, and weigh that out, put it in with my pasta, and stir it really good, and like fresh basil leaves, and it's just like a really fresh citrusy pasta, and then you can get like your grilled chicken, so you throw it all in. So dry pasta, olive oil, so you can control how much, lemon juice so that it has like extra flavor, basil or oregano, salt and pepper, and you've like made your own super easy to track dish.
That's awesome. That's actually really good. I never even really thought about that.
Actually genius.
Dani's a genius.
I'm the expert.
She is the expert. We did talk about how she's the expert. And that's pretty much the tips that we use today to order food at our Italian restaurant. But We do have an infographic on our website that gives you much more information on how to make the most out of eating at an Italian restaurant without derailing your goals. Check that infographic out. Read all of the different tips before you go out to your next Italian restaurant. It's more tips than we have here, and I hope it helps.
And if you have any other useful ones, let us know, because we eat a lot of Italians.
Yeah. If you have any other useful ones that we didn't even think of, put it in the comments. Share, because we need to know. We were struggling over here. We love Italian food.